So an interesting morning. Someone just trying to swat my wife and I. Thankfully, one of my coworkers is a police chaplain. I got a church with a lot of Honolulu police. They're very professional. And once I explained to them what was happening and who I work with, everything came down real fast. Just walked down and talked to the building management and the security and stuff, and thanked them, because it's kind of stressful for everybody. If you get angry on my behalf, please don't say anything that would embarrass you, communicate a threat, right? Well, whatever happened to me, it's a little frustrating, but don't do anything or say anything on my behalf that would negatively impact you, right? Be the best version of yourself you can be, right? Speak clearly, speak with compassion, right? And please do not do anything, say anything, or communicate anything that would harm you, right? Or bring trouble to your life on my behalf. That is the last thing I would ever want. Anyway, I'll be talking about this in a little bit. Kind of early here. I need to get a little bit more coffee in my system, but again, thank you for the well wishes very much. I appreciate it. Aloha. Talk to you soon.
Well, there you have it, guys. I guess you already know what happened, but just in case, you got it from the man itself. Apparently, the usual suspects are at it again. They weren't happy with swatting Peter Simetti, and now apparently they're after this great man, Edwin Boyette, with whom I had the pleasure of sharing a live stream this summer, and he's a really great guy, and I think he's secretly a Jedi. I don't know if this somehow conflicts with his religious views, but I think he should run for Buddha in 2020. I think he would be a great Buddha, because this guy is I don't know, he's completely on the light side of the Force. Me, on the other hand, I'm still human. I'm only human, even though I may look like a pagan demigod to some. I'm still just a man, and I'm not gonna point fingers. I'm not gonna say anything too controversial, but if you ask me, it's not really important who specifically did this, but why he did it. This is like JFK. Don't ask who did it. Ask why. What would they gain, or what was the context in which this happened? And I accuse. I point my finger of scorn at the comic pros and the probably, I don't know, but probably paid trolls like who constantly dehumanize and call people Nazis and white supremacists because they don't agree with their political views. It used to be a Nazi was someone who would wear a swastika on his arm and wanted to invade Poland. Now a Nazi is someone who doesn't like Star Wars. That's the current measuring stick for Nazis. And who did this? You comic pros, you anti-comic skaters did this. You can't consistently and routinely dehumanize people, calling them the worst there is. A Nazi. I think the communists were worse than Nazis, if only because the death toll. But one of the worst things there is, you can't consistently call someone the worst thing there is, dehumanize him on social media, call for violence, the whole punch Nazis bullshit, and expect something like this not to happen. This is the very same context in which Jeremy Hambley from The Quarterning was assaulted. You assholes did this. And you can just say, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't call the SWAT, I didn't pretend that I was this person and that I killed my wife and that I was suicidal. No, probably, maybe you specifically you didn't do this, but you created the climate in which these things happen because people don't fucking agree with you on comic books and movies and ultimately trivial bullshit. This is on you. People like Lauren Atencio, like Gail Simon, like Dave Johnson, Joe Quesada, Jacques. I blame you. I blame the Lucasfilm PR department. I blame Huffington Post. I blame the Mary Sue. I blame all these bullshit outlets, these bullshit people who have created a narrative, a virtual reality in which complete psychopaths like the person who did this, because I'm convinced that it's the same person that swatted Peter Simeti, and I'll go on about that later, in which people like that feel comfortable, feel justified. You know, you can't create a climate of violence, of insecurity, of paranoia, and then say, well, it's not my fault that someone got excessively paranoid and did something stupid, as is the case. You did this. You're to blame. And I hope that someday, maybe in the aftermath of the Mark Waid, Richard C. Meyer debacle, maybe calling people a Nazi, falsely accusing people of being Nazis will become the new false rape accusation. Because the goal behind that accusation is ultimately the same, is to ruin this person's life, is to dehumanize him, and to make it justifiable to do completely horrible things to them. And I mentioned that I think it's the same person who swatted Peter Simeti because one, the MO was the same. This person called the police, the local police, and pretended to be this person, the person swatted, and said that one, he had killed his wife, and two, that he was suicidal. That's the same thing that they did to Peter Simeti. And two, both persons, both Edwin and Peter, are extremely nice, even-tempered, approachable people. Both Peter and Edwin, there's people who occasionally act like jackasses inside Comicsgate. I admit, sometimes I've been a jackass. I'm a proud jackass too, because I don't think that these people deserve any kind of empathy. They're pieces of shit. They're psychopaths. These people are psychopaths. But yet, even so, these people specifically targeted people like Edwin, people like Peter. I think deep down, these two persons' personalities somehow deeply offend this person because they're good people, and you can tell they're good people. They're, as I said, they're really friendly, even-tempered. They have never called for violence. They only call for understanding and compassion and all that we Basques don't understand because we're a proud warrior race, or like Spanish Klingons, something like that. We just want to drink meat and slay our enemies. But I think this is the same person who has it in for people like Edwin and Peter, because they're, as I said, they're nice people, they're good people, they're kind people, and they make him feel bad. They make him somehow, I think subconsciously, they make him feel like a piece of shit, and rightfully so, because he is a piece of shit for doing something like that. So, you piece of shit, you did this, whoever you are, and you, the rest of you piece of shit, all those names that I brought up, you created the climate, you created the context in which people like the aforementioned piece of shit do this kind of things. Okay, yeah, well, that's all I have to say. I just want to say that I'm glad nothing too serious happened. I'm glad to learn that Edwin is okay. And yeah, keep on tracking, Edwin. Peace.